Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day, or a good day, a good start of the weekend for everybody, so which is a great thing. We have a lot to talk about here regarding the Eagles roster going into really, the next week, and we have a lot of roster moves. The Eagles have made a crap ton of moves, and I have to go over all of that. Certain players were waived, which is really eye-opening to competitions at certain positions that are kind of crazy right now. We'll go over the Brian Johnson press conference a little bit, a couple things I took out of that, and a couple little things that we took out of, training camp today. The Eagles were in full pads, and I'm not going to go over a crazy amount of training camp stuff, just really roster stuff, and, just a couple things. But definitely a busy day and a lot of moves for Howie Roseman to make after that Browns game. So, let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? So let's start off with the Brian Johnson press conference. He talked about he was very pleased with Tanner's development. But as Nick said, as Brian Johnson said, that Marcus Mariota is the backup for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't know, guys. Like, if I was to say what is the worst signing, and I didn't honestly think that. I honestly didn't think that, Marcus Mariota would have played this badly when we signed him. I thought he was a solid pickup, really, regarding, he doesn't have to do too much, but, you have a similar skill set with the running mobile ability with both quarterbacks, which last year with Gardner Minshew, I thought we had a little bit of a problem regarding, they put him in a system with Jalen, like Jalen Hurts, and, it's kind of setting up a quarterback to fail. And I feel like having two quarterbacks like this were really good going into the season. A lot of Eagles fans are kind of down on this right now because, I really I don't know what the excuses are going to be. Hopefully this guy will never play. That's what I'm hoping, that we have to depend on him to win out a game or two to get us, in the first seed or to win the first seed or something like that regarding, where we are and the division and what's going on. And Brian Johnson had more to say on just in general of evaluating the quarterbacks. Okay. So, Brian Johnson on evaluating players in games versus other teams' second and third stringers. He says it's a balancing act, as in don't get carried away by McKee's good games or Mariota's bad ones, because Tanner McKee is playing against third stringers or, more down the depth chart. Okay, looking really good right now. Had a lot of good things to say about him. I think the one thing that Tanner McKee is very good at, since he doesn't really have the athletic ability, is he's got really good eyes and he's got great accuracy with the football. I mean, he had 5 drops in that game. 5 drops from wide receivers. I mean, that's nuts. Over 130, 140 yards. Over 100 yards for both games instantly, very easily. I don't know what the Eagles are going to be doing with him. I think the Eagles are going to try to hold on to him. I think they're going to make him look this good and maybe try to trade him for a late. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what the plan is. Like, why do you draft a quarterback late in the draft that has not even a skill set of what you want in this offense, because he has no mobility whatsoever? He's got that Nick Foles arm. He really does. He's got a really good arm. He's got a knack for staying in the pocket, moving, taking a step forward in the pocket, making these really good passes. If he has to move around, it's really nice when he has to move around a little bit, but man, he completes almost anything. I said last game against the Browns, I was like, if Tanner McKee comes in and starts doing this, I'm going to be like, oh my God, and he started doing it, and I was like, man, this guy can play. But we have to not see with our eyes closed in this situation, because I think going into this next preseason game, the last preseason game of preseason, I think Mariota might have a series, maybe not even that, which the guy needs more work, unfortunately. And 2, I think Tanner McKee is going to get a lot of reps. Now is going to play against backups for the last game of the season, or the last preseason game. So if Tanner McKee starts playing horrible against backups, then I guess, we're going to be like, wow, we were fooled. We were tricked. So Brian Johnson is trying to tell us right now that there's a lot of good play in Marcus Mariota we haven't seen yet. And don't be fooled by Tanner McKee's play and how good he's playing over Mariota, because two quarterbacks are playing two totally different defenses on different depth charts. So Mariota's playing the better players and playing bad, and Tanner McKee's playing the worst players and playing good. So sorry, but I don't really care about Tanner McKee that much. I'm caring about the guy that's making $5 million this year as a backup quarterback that's playing second-string backups. And that's a big problem. And I know they have to be coaches. I know they have to defend their players. I get it. Marcus Mariota is a great guy. He's an awesome dude. I don't judge his character. I don't judge anything. He's just had an up and down career. This is football. This is sports. This is what we do. Is he good enough to be a backup quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? Okay, because when I look at it, I even looked at the free agent list for the quarterbacks. Okay, you have Matt Ryan, you have Carson Wentz, you have Joe Flacco, Nick Foles, Chase Daniel, Bryce Perkins, Chris Trevler, Tim DeMorat, C.J. Beathard, and Cam Newton. It's a shitty list. It's not a good list that's out there. So if the Eagles actually tried to get rid of him and try to just do a little settlement for him to be gone, is there a chance they could pick up a free agent quarterback? I don't know. I don't see much here. I mean, yeah, of course, Nick Foles would be the number one answer here, no doubt. I don't like C.J. Beathard. Cam Newton is just not the same anymore. Tom Brady obviously would never be a backup, and that's just ridiculous why he's even on the list in general. We've had Joe Flacco here, which isn't a horrible move. It wouldn't be a bad, horrible move, and at least we know he has an arm and has some accuracy at least and could get things done. So I think Nick Foles and Joe Flacco would be two names I would consider on the free agent list if that's the case. But, we got to take everything with a grain of salt here. And I totally understand what Brian Johnson's saying, but, we'll see what Tanner McKee does. He's going to play against the backups next week, okay? And we're going to see, if we were tricked this whole entire time, which could be. Maybe Tanner McKee's too good to face third stringers. I don't know, but we'll find out. But I don't think Marcus Mariota should just play one series next week. He should play a little bit here. Ian Book, I can care less. He's horrible. Okay, so that's the news on the quarterbacks right now, and I think it's just really important. I mean, I understand they're defending their players. Marcus Mariota is making $5 million plus incentives, but it's an eye-opener right now. Now, the injury report for the Philadelphia Eagles is an interesting one. Now, did not practice at training camp today was Britton Covey, still out. Holy crap, man. Just enough is enough already. Fletcher Cox has knee soreness, so he just had a rest day. Mekhi Gardner had an ankle, and to be honest, Mekhi Gardner had, we'll get into, obviously, some of the stats of some of the games, which are pretty good. So he was out. Moro Ojomo with the concussion, Hassan Reddick with the thumb, Trey Sermon, ankle, Nolan Smith, shoulder, but he's fine. Greg Ward, ankle, he's fine. A lot of precautionary things, giving guys a couple days rest after this game, so I'm not making a big deal out of a lot of these. Quez Watkins still out with this hamstring injury. Yikes, and that's another one that's give these other wide receivers some opportunity here. Who's going to be your number 5 wide receiver? I don't know, but, I think Quez is still the starter, but interesting enough, we'll see what happens. There was an update on Tyree Cleveland that was on the stretcher. Moro Ojomo as well with the neck injuries. So really good that both of these players are going to make full recoveries, but it was really scary. I hate to see that. So Cleveland only has a concussion and will be back, and he has a neck sprain as well, and Ojomo just has a concussion, so both players will be back. They're going to be put through waivers most likely, come back, and I think Tyree will be on waivers. He'll come back because he's obviously injured right now, so nobody will take him. Will be on the Eagles practice squad, IR, or whatever it's called, to be out for a certain amount of time. Ojomo will be back, so concussion protocol, whatever. He'll probably be out for maybe 5 to 6 days. Could be a week, so you never know. So I'm glad that these guys are healthy. Glad that, it was very scary. It was very, very scary. The Eagles were dropping like flies all day, but seeing the stretchers come out, it's not good when it's serious. Tyree Cleveland drops a ball from Tanner McKee. He falls to the ground on his face, and he didn't get up the whole entire time, so it really scared you at that point. But I'm glad, Tyree Cleveland's having a fantastic camp. I think him and Tanner McKee have been really good. I think the connection, the chemistry has been really good. It's been catching everything. Like I said, Tanner McKee is great because he gives good looks. We actually have a third string quarterback here that's giving good looks during camp. We never have that. Usually your third and fourth string are absolutely horrible, and while these other guys are trying to make roster spots. But it's nice to see that in general. Now, Eagles made a ton of moves, a ton. Okay, so we're going to go over this and kind of go into you're going to be like, wow, really? Are the Eagles really doing this? And some of it's not good. Some of it might be bad. So, let's kind of look over it a little bit. Now, it looks like the Eagles waived and released a few players. Now, obviously, we talked about Tyree Cleveland is waived. He'll be back. Noah Ellis was waived, released. Zach McPherson, he'll come back on the IR for the Philadelphia Eagles with the Achilles injury. Get well soon, Zach. Greedy Williams, gone. And everyone's like, man, I really want him to make this team. Dude, he's been horrible. He's been grabby at practice. He hasn't done much of anything. I was really rooting for this kid when we first signed him. I really did. New team, new background, new everything. And I was like, you know what? The kid deserves a shot. Let's give him a shot. So he was released, and he wasn't waived. He was released, so he will not be coming back. Now, punter T.Y. Zentner is released. Damn it, damn it, damn it. God, man. Aaron Sipos, another year at punter. Like, God, the most I've complained so far is special teams. Literally, it's the only. And it's sad because, like, I'm glad I'm not complaining about much of anything else. But damn, like Zentner just wasn't good, and he really wasn't. We're talking about this big leg that he has kicking 60 yards. I don't know what happened, but he's been averaging 40 yards a punt. 40 yards. Against the Browns, he didn't punt one ball inside the 20-yard line. It was that bad. That bad. And Aaron Sipos has a job still. It was like a couple years ago, and Aaron Sipos was signed at the end of, I think the end of 21 he was signed, or end of 20. I think it was 21 the end he was signed at the end of the season. And I just didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, bring in some more competition at punter. There's got to be somebody available, somebody that's going to be available. I mean, bring him in a few weeks before the season starts, when they start making these cuts, when other teams start getting rid of players. You know, I mean, between specialist, kick return, punt return, it's just Covey's still out right now. It's just crazy, man. It's just nuts. And Aaron Sipos is going to have another starting job for another. Why are they afraid to bring in another, like a punter? Like, why? Matariza, like, why not? I don't get what the problem is here with this punter position. I mean, both guys have been horrible. And I'm telling you, Aaron Sipos' statistics are probably just a little tiny bit better, barely even that. So, kind of just gets me a little ticked off with Michael Clay. God, he's so bad. Such a bad coordinator. Can't stand him. Hope we don't lose games because of special teams. Really going to friggin' be horrible. Now, the Eagles did sign some new players, some new faces to the team going to the last preseason game and for the week of training camp practice. We have defensive tackle Robert Cooper, defensive tackle Marvin Wilson, that's been with the team before. It actually has not bad statistics. That actually has had done a good job here. But guy just, another guy that couldn't stay healthy as well. So Marvin Wilson is back. You have defensive tackle Caleb Sanders, linebacker Tyreek Maddox-Williams, linebacker Quentin Bell. Obviously, you have Patrick Johnson that's out, and, Sean Bradley is out, and, McPherson is out. You lost two really good special teamers, and that's really hurting our special teams as well. And linebackers between Patrick Johnson as an outside linebacker / defensive end, and, losing a couple, and Sean Bradley being out, which really sucks. So, sign 3 DTs, 2 linebackers. You need as much depth as possible. These are just bodies they're bringing in. I know nothing about any. Besides Marvin Wilson, I know nothing about any of these players whatsoever. So, they have to bring in some bodies from all the waivers and the releases that they did make. So, that's going into all of that. A couple stats are very interesting. Teron Jackson, they did talk about him during the game, and he had 7 pressures, which was really good, and did a really good job. His dropback pressure rate per dropback, 15.6. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good stat for a guy that's probably not going to be able to make this roster. I think Teron Jackson is obviously going to be somewhere else. I think when did we draft him? 5th, 6th round a few years ago. And he's been around a couple teams already and came back to the Eagles just to try out again. But I think he will. He'll get a roster spot somewhere else. I think he will. We're just too deep right now at the defensive line, and I think he'll have a roster spot somewhere else and do his thing. So I think that's the news on that. And then we go in the cornerback. Zach McPherson's gone now. Like, who's going to cover the nickel corner spot? Josiah Scott. We'll see what happens. Mario Goodrich actually did pretty well. Played 42 of 44 snaps in the slot corner. Josiah Scott was second with 19. Goodrich dropped into coverage, 30 snaps, targeted 2 times, only allowed 1 reception for 7 yards. Goodrich remained consistent through games 1 and 2. So this could be a big one here. I think you can have good competition between Goodrich, and obviously and Keely Ringo. But the problem is that, a lot of these guys aren't, nickel cornerbacks. So you have to be, it was really between Zach McPherson, Josiah Scott, and Mario Goodrich, and they were targeting McPherson so much, which led us to obviously them going to the end zone, which Nakobe Dean came in, for 17 snaps, and he played fantastic, and popped the ball right out on the goal line, which was right near the end zone, which was fantastic. But Goodrich is having the past 2 games been playing fantastic. So I think there's good competition here. Can't forget Eli Ricks. So it's going to be really interesting. I think they keep 6 corners on the roster with your starters here, with Avonte Max being a big liability on the inside. So if you're talking about inside only, it's not going to be Eli Ricks, not going to be Josh Jobe. It's going to be it's going to obviously be Goodrich going into that spot, Josiah Scott. So there's a lot going on here with that spot, and I want to make sure that they make sure they have the right guy at that spot. So I feel like Mekhi Gardner's another one that could move around as well. If they I don't know if they put him in the slot. I don't think so. So still a lot of names out there, but I think it is Mario Goodrich, and I think it is Josiah Scott. So they haven't moved Justin Evans down to nickel because I know he's played nickel in the past. I don't think they even tried him there yet. I know they've done some different things with Terrell Edmonds as well, but I'm not really a big fan of that either. So we'll find out what the spot is going to look like going to the last preseason game. But that's good, though. That's good. I mean, Goodrich playing great, and he was the highest paid undrafted free agent last year. Didn't really do much, so maybe Desai is getting the most out of him right now, which is pretty good. So that is all your reports on, obviously, the signed waived players, some of the statistics from other players during the Browns game last week or this past game, some quotes from Brian Johnson, and obviously Tyree Cleveland and Maro Jomo are going to be perfectly fine, which is great news. Now, going into training camp today, which is just very little, I'm not going to go too much into it because I thought this was a bigger video than what it was today, really going off over the roster in general, but with Jalen Hurts and Marcus Mariota today. Mariota had a pretty good day today. Threw a couple touchdowns today, one to Devin Allen in the end zone, but he was picked off today. He was picked off by James Bradberry. James Bradberry has been playing some nickel, man. He's been in the slot. I don't know what they're doing with him. Maybe they have a lot of faith in an outside cornerback. Maybe they feel like if Bradberry could play inside, cover those big tight ends, or really cover those, in placement, maybe they have a plan for another cornerback. Maybe they have a plan for Josh Jobe. Maybe they have a plan for, Eli Ricks on the outside. You never know what you have, but, I think it's pretty exciting that Bradberry has gotten, has changed position a little bit. And, the more moving pieces you have, the more that Sean Desai tests a lot of these guys this offseason in multiple positions, the more he's going to know in certain situations if we have injuries, if a player goes down and we need to switch some guys around, and it's not going to be a big deal where it's going to be a weakness, and we turn, moving a player is going to keep it as a strength. That's a great thing. And Bradberry's been getting a lot of time at nickel, which is pretty crazy as of right now. So Mariota had an up and down day, but threw a touchdown to Devin Allen, threw 2 passes to him. One was picked, and obviously one was a deep touchdown. So had a good day and somewhat of an okay day. And then Jalen Hurts threw a couple good receptions and a touchdown to Dallas Goedert, a few good receptions today. So nothing crazy. I don't question Jalen Hurts in his camp anymore. He's ready to go. We're keeping him healthy and won't play another preseason game and won't really play until the first game of the season against the Patriots at 4:30. So that's what we're kind of looking at with both of those guys right now. Jalen Carter, they did some different things with him today. He started with the first team defense next to Jordan Davis, which was great. I think he is starting, guys. Like I said, he will be an immediate impact. And not even that. They lined him out. They lined him up outside with the second team defense today. And he was in coverage on Deion Kane. This man was covering today. Covering. Okay? Is he actually that fast to cover? I don't think he's ever done that in his career, has he? I don't think so. But the Eagles just maybe this, I don't know, just see what else he could do. I mean, Sean Desai will just always, I love Sean Desai because he will always switch players around and will just always move guys around. So yeah, let's see what he does here. Let's see what he could do. And that's great. You know what I mean? So in case, when comes emergency during a game and you have to move somebody over or something like that, it was fantastic. So he was playing off the ball a little bit, which was pretty good. And they've done that with Derek Barnett. They've done that with Josh Sweat. They've done that with a few players already. Obviously, so Hassan Reddick is out with the thumb surgery, so he hasn't been practicing. So he won't show up until the regular season. So, I mean, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I mean, I didn't want to go too much into like the camp per se. It was really more important on the roster, signed, waived, released, all of that, because I want to see what the coaches are thinking when it comes to these quarterbacks, especially the backup quarterback position. So really, when you talk to me and say, Joe, what are the positions you're worried about the most? It's really all of special teams and backup quarterback. And people are like, well, what's the matter? It's just a backup quarterback. But dude, look what happened with Gardner Minshew last year. Thank God. I mean, I would have to say, I think Gardner Minshew was better. I mean, that's really sad. That's really, really sad for what you're doing in the system. And I think that's why Tanner McKee's not going to be here, because Tanner McKee doesn't fit the system. He doesn't fit the system here. Brian Johnson, it just wants to have the same type of quarterback mobility, same guy that they could put for the RPOs. They could put for, I get it. I'm not saying you can't use RPOs for more of a pocket guy, but you want to do design runs. You want to do a lot more stuff. And obviously Tanner McKee just doesn't have that. So I'm wondering, they're holding on to him. They're going to get some value for him. Are they going to try to trade him? That's what I'm trying to figure out with him. And Marcus Mariota, I don't know. Coaches are trying to defend him as much as possible, but what we see is what we see with our own two eyes on the field. And I think it's not like I'm hearing it from beat writers. Like, I'm seeing it with my own two eyes. So what else am I supposed to think? $5 million? Like, really? I'll play for $0. I'll play for $100,000 for the year as a backup quarterback, and I'll show you what I got. Trust me, you don't want to see what I got, but pause. But that's all I really got to say during camp. All the moves that were made. You guys let me know what you guys think of all the moves, all the information I've given to you today, and hopefully for better days. Guys get healthy. Guys come back. More competition for nickel cornerback. Since McPherson is out, it's going to be an interesting one. Goodrich showing up a little bit, because not a lot of our corners can play nickel right now. Not a lot. There's only very few. And there's Josiah Scott, Goodrich. I know Justin Evans can do it, but they're not going to move him there. So we will see. And obviously, other things like that. So you guys have a fantastic day. I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes it up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.